Welcome to the Legacy Leadership Podcast, where we help Christian, founder-led nonprofits get funded so that you can lead well, live whole, and leave a legacy. Today, I want to talk to you about a common issue or problem that many leaders get into, and it's this idea that we want to outsource fundraising. It's a question that comes up with a lot of leaders that I talk to is, can't I just outsource this? Or a lot of leaders will ask me, how much do I need to give you for a commission if you raise money for us, if you raise money on our behalf? Many leaders, founders, don't love fundraising. It's not why we got into ministry. It's not why we started helping people. We didn't all of a sudden just say, I want to go help people. And yes, fundraising, that's exactly what I want. And so we want to hand it off as quickly as we possibly can. But it's a mistake that many leaders don't learn until time has gone on, is that you really can't outsource fundraising, not fully. And I truly believe that the founder, the CEO, the executive director, the person at the top of the organization needs to be the primary fundraiser. I know, I'm sorry. I know that it's not something that you're excited about. And hopefully, if you keep listening to this podcast, you'll learn that it actually can be something fun, can be something enjoyable. But for right now, I want you to at least get these concepts because it's vital that you understand the role that you need to play in fundraising. That you can't just hand it off to another team member and have them manage all of the relationships and have everything happen that needs to happen with fundraising. I want to go back to one of the core principles that I repeat often on this podcast is that effective and long-lasting fundraising is all about relationships. And if it's all about relationships, then the relationship has to be with someone. Yes, we want the relationship to be with the organization, but relationships happen between people. And I can't outsource a relationship to somebody else. I can't tell my intern that they're going to manage the relationship with a large donor. If I have somebody that wants to write a $10,000 check or a $100,000 check, they want a relationship with the person who's running the organization. Relationships are built on trust, confidence in the other person. You can't outsource trust. You can't delegate trust. Now, yes, as organizations grow larger and larger, you need more people that can manage those relationships. You need more people who can build the trust with larger and larger partners. But those people that are supporting, that are partnering, that are invested the most in the organization, they need to have a relationship with the person at the top. You can't outsource vision. You can't outsource passion. And so you, being the founder, being the leader, being the one at the top, you have to be the one managing that relationship. You have to be the one invested in that relationship. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do every single thing, that you have to do every single task, but you have to be the face. You have to manage the relationship. You have to maintain the relationship. You're the one that's going to go have the coffee. You're the one that might sign off on the email. You're the one that's going to have the phone call. You're the one who is going to interact with this donor at a banquet or a gala or a workshop. That you need to be the one to shake the hands, to be there in front of people. Now, you can outsource a lot of different things. You can delegate a lot of different things. You can delegate writing thank you cards. You can delegate all of the marketing and the promotions that need to happen in order to get a donor to come to the event. You can have somebody else schedule your meetings for you. You can have somebody manage your schedule and make sure that you get different coffee times with people, or you get times to go and visit somebody. I remember in our organization, we went through a lot of different ebbs and flows of this, where I had my executive assistant for a period of time where she would call and schedule the coffee meetings. She would talk to the donor and say, hey, Taryn's going to be here on XYZ day, or Taryn wanted to get coffee with you and wanted to see what times were open on your calendar. Would Thursday or Friday work for you next week? He's happy to come and meet you wherever is convenient for you. We had one time in our organization where we had a particular individual who we called her our connections coordinator, but she called different pastors and leaders and she reached out to different organizations to set introductory meetings with our CEO where she said, "Hey, XYZ person is wanting to meet more people in the neighborhood, get connected with more of the pastors in our area, and wanted to know if we could get a time on his calendar to be able to sit down and have coffee with you, or stop by your church, or be able to have a conversation." And so you can outsource your scheduling, you can outsource your reach outs. My executive assistant for a period of time, she was the one that was coordinating all of the different things related to our end of the year events. She was taking point on inviting people to the event or asking people if they would bring a friend to the event. Now, when it came to our larger donors, our larger partners who we wanted to ask to be table hosts at our event, now I'm making an ask. I'm asking for something specific to be done. She would get everything ready for that ask, but when it actually came time to make the phone call and ask this partner to host a table to invite their friends, that was now part of our executive team that was making that phone call. Our executive team, whoever was managing that relationship, maintaining that relationship, that was the person who made the phone call, who made the ask, who made the request. Because it needs to come from the person who actually has the relationship. I've shared the dating analogy before of how oftentimes we can think of our partner relationships the same way that we could think of any other relationship. And I'm not going to ask somebody else to go out on the date with my wife and say, "Hey, I can't go out on the date with my wife tonight. It's Thursday night. This is our date night. I'm sure she's going to be completely fine with it. Could you go on the date tonight in my place? And you can go have dinner with my wife and the two of you. I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And just let me know how it goes afterwards. Just keep me updated." But that's what we try to do with our donors so often. We just assume that somebody else can just step into the relationship. But every single relationship is unique. We can't duplicate or delegate some of those things. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you have to do everything. I remember in one of the organizations that I worked in early on, there was a whole development staff, a development team. There was a whole group of people that managed all the behind the scenes of everything. And when it came time for the president of the organization to meet with one of their key donors, the development team scheduled the presentation. They scheduled the time for the president to go and have the meeting. They got the entire presentation together, the packet folder, the envelope that was going to need to go with it, all of the different things that needed to be walked through to be able to explain to this partner what was happening in the ministry, what was going on, all the numbers, all the stats. Everything was prepared in a presentation packet. They even made sure that the president's vehicle was gassed up before he went, that he had his MapQuest directions, because at that point we didn't have GPS. His MapQuest directions were all printed out so he knows exactly where he's going. That everything was completely prepared so that the person could get in his vehicle, he knew exactly where he was going. All he had to do was go have the meeting and make the presentation. And so that's a great usage of your development staff, of being able to build that relationship. For those who are running smaller organizations, you probably don't have a development staff. You might not even have a staff, and that's okay. But don't too quickly try to delegate fundraising. Fundraising should be one of your key responsibilities as a founder, as a CEO, as an executive director. Until your organization grows to a size where you need to now have a development staff and you've got lots of different employees, then you can start to delegate some of these things. It was around 150 employees in our organization before I had a development team. I had a development coordinator who was helping to coordinate some of the different things in my organization. I think we were over 30 staff in our director executive team, our core team of people that were all working out of the headquarters, that were involved in fundraising, that were involved in marketing and all the other things that were happening out of the home office. I had an executive assistant and we had a development coordinator, and we now had 2 or 3 of us in the executive team that were owning some of these relationships. I remember there was a couple of times that I'm thinking of in our organization where we tried to hand off pieces of fundraising that we shouldn't have or that were too early. I'm thinking of one where we had a grant writer that we brought on and we wanted to have somebody else write grants for us. But the problem was at that point in our organization, it was really hard to help anybody else understand the vision that we had because we hadn't done enough in the planning phase. We talk about the 4 steps of fundraising: plan, present, gain, maintain. We hadn't done enough in the planning phase to really help anybody else understand the vision sufficiently that they could go out and write a grant on it or explain it to somebody else. We also weren't quite at the point where we had everything that was needed for a grant writer to go and present on our behalf. We needed to build the relationships with people that were part of the foundations. We tried to have the grant writer go out and have the meetings or present on our behalf when there were opportunities to make the presentations. It should have been us making the presentations, not a grant writer making the presentations. Yes, a grant writer could help us write the grant, create the proposal, go find the grants that we're going to submit to. But when it came down to having the meeting with foundation president, it shouldn't have been the grant writer having the meeting with the foundation president. It should have been the executive team having the meeting with the foundation president. We had another time where I did follow this well, and I had somebody who was helping me do some grant writing. I had somebody who was helping to give me some fundraising coaching and coaching on how to make my presentations. And I had these opportunities to go and meet with foundation presidents and meet with other executive directors of other organizations who were going to open up funding for me. And rather than trying to outsource that to somebody else, I had a really good coach that came alongside me and helped me with the writing because I wasn't very strong in my writing skills at that point in time. I didn't know how to draft a proposal and how to put it in the right format. And so this person helped me with the writing. They helped me with understanding the right format. They helped me with all the formalities of things that I needed to do. And before I hopped on a phone call, I had a quick debrief or a quick, not a debrief, a pre-brief, I guess, of, what am I going to say on the call and how do I need to say it and what am I going to talk about? And I was so nervous at this point in my fundraising because I had never made these $50,000, $100,000 asks. I had never curated these larger partnerships. It was very unnerving for me as a young CEO to know, how do I actually have these conversations with these people who have access to all of this money? And so I'd have a pre-brief, I'd have a debrief where we'd talk through it all. And it was really helpful for me to have a good coach that came alongside and really helped me in those different areas. But I recognized that I couldn't outsource those relationships. And so when I recognized that, it was actually really helpful. I built these amazing partnerships and these amazing collaborative teams of things that we were doing together. And it was really beautiful. It was really amazing. And it was really scary. It was very scary for me as a fundraiser, as a CEO. And I had done lots of fundraising. I've been fundraising for most of my life in some capacity or another, but it was still scary for me to develop this new skill or to be at this new level of talking to people that felt so much further beyond me. And so I want to encourage you that you might find some of this scary, just like I did. You might be a little fearful. You might find yourself in this place of feeling like an imposter, like you don't belong or you don't have enough skills or knowledge or understanding. And I want to encourage you that those feelings you're feeling, everyone else is feeling them too. Oftentimes, the foundation president, they know exactly what you're feeling. That large donor, they've been in the exact same place. I can't tell you how many larger donors, those that can contribute larger amounts financially, I hear on the other end that they're just as uncomfortable or as fearful about the conversation as you are. Sometimes they want so much to make a difference in the world and they see what you're doing and the work you're doing and they think there's no way that I could ever possibly do that, and they put you up on a pedestal that's so high that they're nervous to have the conversation with you as well. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to this person who's making this amazing difference in the world." And sometimes you're both feeling the same thing. And if you're not both feeling it in that same conversation, then they've certainly felt it before in their life. And so be real, be authentic, be you. Don't try to show up as somebody that you're not. Don't try to show up as having it all together when maybe you don't. It's okay to just be authentic, to show up. It's okay to be honest and say, I'm a little bit uncomfortable even making this request, but I want to invite you into what I'm doing. And I think when we can think of it as relational and we can think of our requests as invitations versus asking, it is very disarming even for us. That when I can invite somebody to something, it is a lot easier than asking them to donate something. And we'll talk on future episodes about how to overcome limiting beliefs, and we'll talk about limiting beliefs around money and scarcity and our definitions of money. So you can watch for future podcasts on that. In the meantime, I do get into this topic about you as the CEO, executive director, founder, being the primary fundraiser. I talk about this in my book, Fundraising Momentum. You can go find it on Amazon. You can just search Fundraising Momentum by Taryn Long, and you'll find it on Amazon. I'm still learning how to use the show notes. I think I mentioned that before. So you might see it in the show notes. If not, then you can go search for it on Amazon. If you are listening to this podcast and it's still early on and I don't have a lot of episodes and you have any feedback for me and how to run a podcast or how to use show notes, I'm certainly still learning. I just decided that done is better than perfect, and I wanted to get this information out there. And so I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you giving me your time. I'd love to hear from you on what you think of the podcast. And if you buy my book, let me know what you think of the book. And I'm just grateful that I've been able to spend this time with you and been able to share some valuable insight and knowledge with you.